I caught my mom cheating with a family friend. I don't know if this is the right sub to post this, so if it isn't, direct me to where I should. Here is some background. I live in a city about an hour and a half away from my job, so I stay with my parents so that I don't have to pay for extra housing. My dad isn't home at the moment as he's working in Louisiana and we live in Texas. Last night, I got off work early and headed home to find the family friend on top of my mom. She wasn't fully naked, but from my point of view, I couldn't really tell what was happening other than him being on top of her. I immediately left, and drove to a secluded place to calm myself down. After a while, I went back to gather my belongings and go back home because I couldn't stand to even look at my mom. She tried saying that he was forcing himself on her, and that she didn't want to do anything with him. I began yelling and telling her to call the police or to call my uncle, the family friend lives with my uncle, or my dad, that way we can do something about it, but my mom just kept saying she couldn't and didn't explain why. This makes me think this was an ongoing thing and that she might have been lying about the forcing himself on her. I don't know what to do. Should I call my dad and tell him? Should I even tell anyone? I'm honestly so terrified for what's going to happen. Please help me figure this out. You absolutely tell your dad. If he finds out later down the line that you knew, he will feel betrayed by 3 people he cared about. Call your dad. Sounds like your mom has been doing this for a while. Fuck her, help your dad out. Tell her that if you tell your dad then it looks even worse. If she is telling the truth then she has nothing to fear. You are not willing to cover this up for her. She has 24 hours to tell you dad or you will. She's lying. But even if she's not, you should still tell your dad. Just let your dad know. That blows. Best of luck to you and your dad. Tell your dad. He deserves to know she is cheating. Your mom is doubly terrible. She's cheating on your dad and she tried to throw the guy under the bus by saying he was forcing her when that doesn't appear to actually be the case. She should be called out for both things. I'm so sorry, you must be overwhelmed. When is your dad home next? What is your family like? I mean, do they get along? Are your parents happy? Do you feel safe? Are there firearms? Is there any volatility? Tell your dad, bro, honestly he needs to know. I know it may cause a divorce but he needs to know. Call the police and tell them that you witnessed a guy raping your mom but she is afraid to report it. Tell your mother to confess to your father. Try to stay out of it as much as possible. Your parents should be handling this themselves. Don't get her to tell him. You tell him. If you tell him yourself he will feel that at least you have his back. Also, tell him immediately. Do not wait. You can always start the conversation with your dad asking him if he is in an open marriage. I doubt that he is, but that might be an opening to an uncomfortable conversation. This really sucks. I'm so sorry. You should definitely tell this to your dad, he deserves to know. Things like this really are shit, man. If your mom said he was forcing himself on her, call the cops. Victims of sexual assault think they are at fault. If she's lying, the cops will figure that out fast enough. Let the other guy know your mom is claiming he forced her. See if her story changes after he confronts her or starts talking about his side. First, don't delay it. Tell him ASAP. Then please do it gently and beware your mom is surely going to act as a victim. Describe what you saw and what you think. Moreover, just let him know that you are there to support him no matter what. Please tell your dad. Also update please. Dad, I don't know how to tell you this, but mom. Obviously tell your father. Either she was cheating or was being assaulted. If it's the former, your dad does not deserve to live with a cheater. If it's the latter, you can't allow an assaulter to run scot-free. Yes, gather up evidence and shit like recordings of you two talking about what happened. Now depending on what your dad does, sounds like it's good money because he travels. I would wait until he gets back perhaps so you don't disturb him from getting all frantic at work and fucking up. He could be in a dangerous line of work IDK. If he is able to leave work and deal with the oncoming plethora of issues that is about to hit the fan, then tell him right away. Yes, tell your dad. Call your dad first. Then your uncle right after and advise him that the guy needs to go now. I don't respect anyone who's cheating. The friend of the family or your mom. They are both guilty. If the man is forcing himself on your mom, then she should be fired up to call the police. Police are people too. They like hauling scum who sexually assault people into jail. Tell your dad ASAP. You must tell your dad, he deserves to know. She tried saying that he was forcing himself on her, and that she didn't want to do anything with him. Why is women lying about a life-ending crime just to get out of responsibility such a common thing? Yes. Talk to your dad. Even if your mom tells him. She might twist the story or say that you're lying. Make sure you tell your dad yourself. Also, I'd talk to your uncle and give him a heads up. In case he wants to kick his roommate out, not sure if it's her mom's brother or dad's. Just a thought. Good luck. Tell your father and your uncle what you've seen and how your mother claims he forced himself onto her but she refused to call the police or tell them. By doing this it should stop whatever is going on by the family cutting this guy off and confronting both of them for the truth. You should tell your dad, but you need to make sure that you are taken care of as well. You need to make other arrangements for living as soon as possible. I don't expect that your mother will make things easy on you once you tell your father. So do your best for yourself as well, because once everything is wide open, living with your parents is not going to be good and may end up being traumatic for you. I say this as someone who in the past has done what he thought was right and really had the world kick the crap out of me as a result. I know you feel for your father, but be practical as well. I wasn't and I got badly hurt. Please take care of yourself first, then your father. Update when you tell your dad and siblings. I'm so sorry for your situation. I know you will be overwhelming with full of mixed emotions. Best thing to do is to tell your dad as soon as possible. Sorry to tell ya, marriage is probably over if your dad has any self-respect and is not a pushover. I'd say honesty should be what needs to happen, either from you or your mother. Please tell your dad and at least try to get a recording of your mom confessing her lying about him raping her. It's a despicable thing for your mother to say that she was being forced if that is a lie to cover for her cheating. A flat update is necessary. Obviously nothing in your mind screamed rape and made you want to help her, so I'm guessing things looked pretty consensual. That doesn't mean they were, but it's something to consider. This happens to a lot of people. You should tell your daddy. Because this stuff will be discovered someday even if you don't tell him. When it happens, if he discover you knew and she will tell him you knew and hid it from him in her moment of anger, then he will be very disappointed with you. That also makes you an accomplice. So from a logical point of view you better talk. And from a moral and ethical point of view you are obligated to do so. So no matter what your viewpoint, you have to tell your dad. And be there for him if he wants to yell, cry or even shout. He heard you cry a lot when you were a baby, that I can tell you. Most likely your mom lied to you. She was embarrassed with being caught. Either way, there should be a boundary between a child and their parents' relationship. What do you hope to accomplish by calling your dad? Can you live with the potential results? While we are free to choose our actions, we are not free to choose the consequences of our actions. Stephen R. Covey. That's something both you and your mom should consider. Some folks commit murder or suicide over a broken heart. Before telling your dad, make sure you have an idea how he might react. Best wishes. You call the uncle, the police and dad, tell them she was afraid of doing it herself. Then we can see what shit show it reveals. You should have taken pictures, video and uploaded them to the cloud. Now it's your word against hers. Plus you could have earned yourself more freedom in that house simply by exerting informational leverage. Tell your papa ASAP. Tell your dad immediately. Either she was cheating, more than likely, or assaulted, but either way he needs to know, and now. Don't wait. Keep out of it. Tell your mom she must talk to your dad, or you will be forced to involve yourself and tell him. But do everything you can to keep out of it. She wasn't forced. She liked it and now she's denying 'cause she got caught. So, your uncle is your mom's brother. Tell your dad. Get evidence and call your dad. Tell your father. Let them sort it out. Nothing about this is your fault and don't let your mother tell you that. This is all on her. Tell him for sure. Wait till your dad gets home. She cheats, he needs to know, otherwise you're just condoning it, an enabler keeping mommy's secret, betraying your father with her. SSSOU. Any updates on what you did?